Thyroid antibodies have gone up on a low ox diet. Is this normal?
So, as oxalate's leaving your body, there's lots of places where it can be impacting you. And it's well known, actually, in the research that oxalate can accumulate in the thyroid over time. So, there was this very interesting piece of research that I found where researchers who had donated thyroid glands from people who had passed got to the point in their examination of them where they could actually fairly accurately estimate the age of the person based on how much oxalate was in their thyroid. That's kind of interesting because that really speaks to the whole bioaccumulation. And it also speaks to, and these were people who didn't necessarily die of thyroid related conditions. These were people who had just passed with other things. So it also speaks to the fact that the thyroid may be vulnerable in some way to oxalate. Now, with that said, if you've got pro-inflammatory oxalate and it's creating a bit of a problem in the thyroid, could you drive up antibodies? I think that would make sense. The immune system may come to bear there. So is it, I don't know, the word normal kind of fits. Some people can have thyroid antibodies go up. Some people will find that their thyroid doesn't function as well, that they may have issues with high TSH or low T3 because of the fact that the oxalate's impacting how the thyroid functions. You also need magnesium to convert T4 to T3, which is your active form. So if oxalate's chelating magnesium out of the system, you may have things which are impacting it. So I'll often see people wanting to use a lot of iodine because their thyroid is compromised, and that may not be the right response. So you can get these kinds of things where oxalate tends to be trafficked. Another one that I see, which I'll mention because it's kind of related to this, is that you can have your liver enzymes suddenly come up. And that really gets people's attention. They get very concerned about that. But I have had a number of clients where liver enzymes went up. They got through an initial dumping phase, which might have lasted a bit of time, put their body under a bit of stress, and then it'll start to drop down. And their doctor will say, I don't know what's happening. And I'll go, I bet it's oxalate. Now, that's a hypothesis, but because I know that sulfate transporters in the liver can also be moving oxalate, I think it would be a reasonable thing if we can get a researcher to be curious here and check this out. And I have had people have some funny things happen with pancreatic enzymes. And again, that really alarms people, and it alarms me. I make sure they go to their doctor when any of these things happen. I make sure they get checked out. But what usually occurs under these circumstances is the doctor doesn't know why it's happening and then doesn't know why it stops happening. And so I tend to take a bit of a conservative approach. Go and make sure nothing bad's going on. Go and exclude the obvious kinds of diagnoses. And in the absence of something clear, let's assume for the short term that it's oxalate and that you're going to monitor this with your doctor. And as I said, I've seen lots of these kinds of, distressing kinds of results on a test kind of resolve themselves over time as we get their diet right and as oxalate's leaving their body. So I think that's another one with the thyroid too.